Hey guys, welcome back to a new video tutorial. First thing first, I just wanna say that I'm really grateful and blown away about all the support that my last video have received. Big thanks guys. And well, in today's video I'm gonna show you how my color house like move, so let's cut right to the chase and go ahead with the intro. Well guys, for the build up I basically use these chords that I made in Vital. Well, as you can see, there's a sidechain automation clip here that in this part is disabled, but in this part it's not disabled. Then I also use this EQ automation clip that is cutting some high frequencies. I also use this reverb automation clip, as you can see, and then I also use this EQ automation clip, but this automation clip is cutting low frequencies. Well, for the chords, what I use in the mixer are basically some distortion, as you can see, EQ as well, wider, some reverb as well, sidechain, and EQ again. In this part of the build-up, I use this 808. I use a sidechain automation clip that in this part is disabled, but in this part is not disabled. What I used in the mixer for this 808 was basically some distortion, as you can see, an EQ as well, and this sidechain. And well, if you realize, I basically changed the 808 for this sub bass that I made in 3x oscillator. For the sub bass, I basically use a pitch automation clip, a volume automation clip, and an EQ automation clip in order to cut some low frequencies. And well, what I used in the mixer for the sub bass was some distortion, an EQ, and through this soft clipper. I also used this couple of snares. As you can see, I added a pitch automation clip. I also used a kick, this drum loop, some crash sounds with volume automation clips, and in the middle of the build-up I basically designed this water sound in Serum. I also added this down filter. I also used this ambient shot. I also use this short up suite. I added some risers and up filters as well. Also there is a sub drop and a snare. I added this effect as well. I also used this synth that I will show you more in depth later. And I also added this ambient sound. Okay, now let's go through the drop. I basically use this couple of chords. Well, as you can see, for this chords I use some volume automation clips, and a reverb automation clip as well, and a sidechain automation clip. And what I use in the mixer for this chords were some distortion, an EQ as well, reverb as well, sidechain, wider, and sidechain again. I also use this lead. As you can see, there's only a delay automation clip, and what I used in the mixer for this lead was basically some distortion as well, an EQ, delay, wider, sidechain, and EQ. And well, in this part I basically use this sound. I basically use Serum for this one, and this is how it sounds like with no effects. Yeah, it sounds really weird. And to get this kind of color house sound, I basically use this plugin called Fruity Convolver, and I loaded this sound. This is how it sounds like without Fruity Convolver, and this is how it sounds like with Fruity Convolver. Then I added some distortion, an EQ as well, boosting some high frequencies, a reverb as well, wider, sidechain again, and finally I use gradient too. And as you can see, I basically use a reverb automation clip, a volume automation clip as well, and this second part of the drop I basically use this cutoff automation clip. I also use this clock sound. As you can see, it sounds really weird, but along with this, they sounds really better. I also use these chords. And basically it's the same process that I showed before. I use Fruity Convolver for this one, and this is how it sounds like with not effects. And this is how it sounds like with effects. Basically, I use Fruity Convolver for this one. As I said, I loaded this chord. I use some distortion, an EQ as well, cutting some low frequencies, sangudizer, reverb as well, wider, and sidechain. I also use these chords. What I used in the mixer for this chords was like some distortion, an EQ as well, wider, reverb, EQ again, sidechain, and Fruity Soft Clipper. Now it's time to take a look to the mic bass. I basically use 4 layers for the mic bass, and this is how the sounds like. Well, for the mid bass, I basically use some distortion, an EQ as well, cutting all the low frequencies, wider as well, and sidechain. And for the other layers, it's the same process. And in this part of the drop, I basically use this violin. What I used in the mixer for this violin was like a distortion, an EQ as well, and reverb. And in this part of the drop, I basically used this growl sound. What I used in the mixer for these growls was distortion. As you can see, I added a lot of distortion to all the plugins that I use, an EQ as well, wider, EQ again, and sidechain. For the drum section, I basically use a kick, 5 layers of claps, and some percussions. I also use this kind of weird sound, and this is how the sounds like. In the second part of the drop, I basically use some shakers and hi-hats. And finally, I use this white noise with sidechain automation clip. And well guys, it's time to take a listen how the final result sounds like, and it sounds like this. Well guys, I hope you liked this video. I spent a lot of time trying to break through how make this kind of music, so I hope you like it. And remember that if you have a suggestion for me, you can leave a comment down below or hit me up on Instagram. So let's call it a day and see you in the next video.